SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Estelle's Oxford, the new place on the square to wine and dine. Great steaks and pastas, plus lunch and Sunday brunch. For a full menu and reservations, visit estellesoxford.com and on Instagram. Located on the square at 1112 Van Buren Avenue, next to Faulkner's Alley.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C Spire. Power your home or business with C Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C Spire. C Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to MidDays, SuperTalk Mississippi. I'm your host, Gerard Gibert, on location at Itawamba Community College in Fulton, Mississippi. It's graduation day here at Itawamba Community College, and we'll have a number of guests that will celebrate the big graduation, watching the large screen TV here in our position in the VIP suite as part of the Davis Center where graduation is occurring. Watching President Jay Allen. He's giving out those diplomas and some smiles on the faces and cheers from the crowds because it's a big deal to graduate here. What a fantastic organization and institution this is. Beautiful setting up here. Rhino safe and sound back in the SuperTalk headquarters. We'll be guiding you through the middle of your day with facts, fodder, and fine music on this
Friday, y'all.
What a gorgeous day to traverse the landscape of the great state of Mississippi, a route I know you're somewhat familiar with. The Natchez Trace, man, really beautiful today, no doubt about it. The trees showing out. And I couldn't detect a whole lot of dead pine trees from the droughts that we have experienced the last couple of years. So maybe new ones are taking over, or maybe they've got some room to branch out. But beautiful landscape, no doubt, coming up from central Mississippi, traveling up here to the foothills of Appalachia, and, of course, over the Tom Bigby. Beautiful setting up here, Rhino. I know you've been here before, Itawamba Community College.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just from a landscape perspective, maybe the most aesthetically pleasing of all of our fabulous community colleges across the state of Mississippi. We'll be talking to a couple of graduates and others as well. We've got Senator Daniel Sparks on the program, and, of course, Dr. Jay Allen, the president of Itawamba Community College, will join us. So it should be good. Looking forward to it. The president, he, of course, hopped on Air Force One, headed back from a rather historic trip to China, visiting with and negotiating with President Xi, and they rolled out the red carpet. There does appear to be a lot of mutual respect for the two leaders. The president likes to boast about his fabulous relationship with the president of China as well as North Korea's president. He was asked that question today by the press on board Air Force One. He says that it was successful from the perspective of a couple of things I think that are noteworthy. Negotiating some deals, that's what he does. And this is what I like about the president. Everywhere he goes, he's always selling, which is what he should be doing. He's selling the United States and all the great goods and services that we have to offer the world. And he's pushing them to do a little business with us. He says they're going to buy, what do you say, Rhino, 20 jets from Boeing, I think? That's a lot. Each jet, of course, costs a bunch of money. China is. He pushed them to buy more of our farm commodities. You know, that's always a huge deal. And that is something that, of course, connects to the farmers in the state of Mississippi as well We produce a lot of beans, more than we can consume. China's always been a big market for that. They've kind of tapered that back just because of a bit of a rift between this country and China. The concern I have, though, the president said that they signed some good trade deals. The concern I have, and I know the president knows this as well, they cannot be trusted. I know you're shocked at that, Rhino. The communists can't be trusted. They make a lot of commitments that they do not honor. Now, the president also had an entourage of corporate CEOs, kind of a who's who of American corporate CEOs that accompanied him. He says that they came on their own accord. That's a little bit in conflict with prior news reports. That's the first time I've heard him say anything about it directly out of his mouth. He said they were coming to seek deals and coming to see about perhaps relocating some of their manufacturing back to the United States. I'm not sure if that's totally the case or not, because I haven't seen any comments, any reaction from these corporate CEOs. The other thing he did is pave the way for NVIDIA to sell some of their chips right now. You know, there's a prohibition on certain categories, certain classes of NVIDIA's graphics processing units that are critical to artificial intelligence computing, and seem to have opened that up just a little bit more. That pumped up NVIDIA stock yesterday, is giving back some of those gains when I checked it earlier in the day. And, of course, all eyes on Wall Street will be on NVIDIA next week as they release their quarterly report. And it's gotten to the point where, unless it's just another blowout that exceeds the prior quarter blowout, the market's not happy. But I think they're looking pretty good, in good shape. So the other thing, of course, the president and President Xi discussed was Iran. Now, I actually believe that Xi could make a phone call, literally, to Iran and call this whole deal off right now. But he won't. And the president pushed him, and the best that the president could offer on those conversations was that President Xi said, yeah, we don't want them to have a nuclear weapon either. Okay, but dude, if you made a call to whoever the heck is in charge over there, it's widely believed they would stand down, stop the hostilities, open up the strait, and give up their nuclear ambitions. He could do that. Instead, the enriched uranium is still in their possession, and I personally believe would take a ground invasion to capture it and to take it out of their hands so that they couldn't use it. The president went on to boast about how their nuclear capability, certainly with the big bombing operation that occurred last year, has been decimated, but they still believe that they have this enriched uranium, and they could sort of rekindle and reestablish their capabilities with that uranium as they push for the ability to incorporate a nuclear warhead on their intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's what we don't want. We've also subsequently learned after the invasion, after the bombing, I should say, the attacks, that they still do have some missile sites that are capable with conventional warheads of reaching Western Europe. That's not a good thing. That would, of course, perhaps trigger a response from us as per our NATO pact. We don't want that. So I'm still feeling like that without a ground invasion, we may not get their enriched uranium. Though the president of China, I do believe, could make a phone call today and change that situation. It feels a bit duplicitous for the president to say, yeah, we don't want him to have president of China, Xi Jinping, to say, yeah, we don't want him to have a nuclear warhead, but he won't take any action to eliminate their nuclear capability and for them to forego the enriched uranium that they have. Somewhat disappointing, but I don't think we should be surprised at that. So, on the C Spire text line, I'm concerned on how he appeared to be in favor of the Chinese buying U.S. farmland and the amount of Chinese citizens in our universities. I thought he was against that. So what's being referred to there, and Thomas and Greenwood also noted that, the president did make a statement concerning that. He said that it's good to have 500,000 foreign Chinese students in the U.S. and for China to purchase U.S. farmland. Otherwise, colleges and farm prices would collapse. Quote, I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, end quote. So, yeah, that seems to be something that's gotten a lot of folks' attention because there are some states, the state of Mississippi has stopped short of such formal action that would prevent China from buying farmland here. I support a policy that would prevent any nation that's deemed by the federal government to be adversarial, to be essentially an enemy of this country, from acquiring farmland and other assets, frankly, or land near military installations. In the state of Mississippi, we just should ban all acquisition of all and any land by foreign adversaries. Coming right back at Itawamba Community College. We're here for graduation. Stay with us.
Hello,
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Bring it on! Middays with Gerard Gibert.
It is on.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. The Element Wealth Studio has traveled to Fulton, Mississippi today. It's Itawamba Community College's graduation. Still watching on the television here in the VIP suite that is part of the Davis Center, where the Davis Activity Center, I believe is the formal name, where graduation is taking place. Watching President Jay Allen as the graduates come across the stage there, and he's handing them their diplomas, all smiles, of course. Big day for these graduates. Congratulations to them. The world is at their feet. I hope they all succeed at whatever they want to do, big time. And I hope they stay right here in the state of Mississippi to do it as well. So the president yesterday also was pushing China to buy oil from this country. And there's a little nuance in that. We've been through this, Rhino, you and I have a couple of times on the show. We're not producing any more oil, honestly, than we were a year ago. We're still at that 13.7, 13.8 million barrels a day, which, by the way, is more than we've ever produced as a nation domestically. As far as the oil we literally pull out of the ground. Now, I'm talking about crude oil specifically. We consume about 19 million barrels a day. So we import and we export. We primarily export because there's a chemistry problem. It literally comes down to chemistry. Much of the oil we are now producing, the newfound oil, if you will, from this fantastic technology known as fracking, out in West Texas, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, some other areas of the country as well, which are primed for the use of fracking to get oil out of the ground. Miracle technology, honestly, underestimated. It is of the light sweet variety, and unfortunately, our refineries are built around the more traditional, heavy, dirty, high sulfur content oil. And so our refineries can't accept it. So we literally ship it across the ocean to refineries that can in other nations, such as in the Middle East. They refine it into finished fuels and ship it back to us. So it's the actual amount of oil being produced in the world has not increased. In fact, it has decreased because we can't get ships through the strait. And consumption has fallen a little bit, but not markedly. You would think that it certainly domestically. Do you think that the price would cause a decline in consumption? The price at the pump quite elevated to where it was a couple of months ago, certainly before the bombs started flying in Iran. But the president does know that China is being decimated by the constraint of oil because they have traditionally, in the communist way, been subverting the markets and purchasing oil directly from Iran. Goes to the straight to China, where it is refined in China and then used. And China, of course, you like to talk about all the time, Rhino, that it's more about the image, right, and saving face and projecting a certain image.
Yeah, that's why they changed Rubio's name.
I heard about that. Tell the folks about that.
Yeah, so Rubio is not legally allowed to enter the country of China. Like, it's a law they wrote banning him from entering China. And instead of backing up and punting and going, you know what? We don't need to ban you from China. That was an overreaction. Instead of doing that, in order to save face, they simply changed his official name in the records to be something like For Rubio instead of just Rubio. That way he can legally enter the country and they don't have to go back and change their law, so they get to have their cake and eat it too.
Oh, my gosh. Well, so I think that so much of what they do, again, and with respect to this oil thing, it feels like it's just a theory on my part that if they said, okay, U.S. uncle, the situation in Iran is really harming us because we can't get the oil we need to power the country. And you've seen it, Rhino. Their economy is in tatters. There's no doubt about that. And the president knows that. He absolutely knows that. That's why, and so is Iran's. This term now, Operation Economic Fury, is what it's being called, really refers to not only Iran, but what the inability of China to import oil from Iran is doing to their domestic economy. So that's, I guess, a positive aspect of this action in Iran is that it is harming our most ardent foe in China. But you feel like that if they announce today, you know what, Uncle, we're going to start buying from the U.S., that it would kind of conflict with that need to project strength and save face? What do you think, Rhino? It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, that's exactly why they haven't really put a whole lot of pressure on Iran to do anything, is they can't admit that America basically dog-walked Iran. They can't admit that some of their best equipment that they equipped Iran with was virtually useless. They are having to do everything in their power to avoid admitting that they really are a paper tiger, that they have been bragging way more than they can back it up.
Always. I mean, that has been their historical practice. It's just the communist way, no doubt about it. And where rhetoric actually accounts for more than substance and practical reality. So we'll see. But the president, I think, is certainly putting massive pressure on the country simply by what's happening in Iran. And that's because they rely virtually exclusively on Iran for their oil to power their country. Now, something else we got to add to this discussion about oil and the amount we produce versus the amount we consume. With respect to overall petroleum products, which includes natural gas, no doubt we are a complete net exporter in that we produce more natural gas. It's something we have an incredible abundance of than we consume by a long shot. And that is a positive with respect to the future of our economy. As we all know, we need more electricity to power data centers, cloud services, artificial intelligence, and many of the new electric power plants consume fuel, natural gas, to power those big turbines that generate electricity. And the good news there is we got plenty of it. We are flush with it. So he's putting pressure on them. Even Lindsey Graham, I'm not a huge fan of Lindsey Graham, he even said yesterday on the news, I think it was on Fox, he said Xi could pick up the phone and end the Iran conflict if he chose to. Good for you, Senator. Put some pressure on him now, because you know that'll get back to him. He said without China buying Iran oil, they would be out of business. The number one purchaser of Russian oil and gas popping up Putin is China. So they're getting it from Iran and Russia. And my message to President Trump is that we have your back. And if China continues to do this without paying a price for disrupting the world, then we will have made a huge mistake. I've got legislation that will allow President Trump to put tariffs on China. How about that, for buying Russian oil and gas? Interesting. Now, the president talked about relaxing, you saw that, Rhino, some tariffs in exchange for them trading more with us, procuring more of what we produce in this country. He also, the president, announced that China plans to invest hundreds of billions of dollars, his words, in the companies run by the CEOs, mainly the tech CEOs, that were also along with him on the trip to Beijing. He said, quote, those business people are here to make deals and to bring back jobs. That's what he said of the dozens of executives and entrepreneurs that accompanied him to China. He said, quote, China's going to invest hundreds of billions of dollars with those people that were in the room today. Interesting. This was on an interview last night with Hannity on Fox. He said that business people, including Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, he, of course, the boss of those companies, Apple's Tim Cook, were not initially scheduled to take part in the delegation's meeting with Chinese officials at the Great Hall of the People, but they came on their own accord to cut deals. I find that pretty fascinating. That's what the president says. So, again, I think that is incumbent upon the President of the United States to work with other countries to establish business relationships. Might be the most important thing, honestly. We're going to take a break right here. We're at Itawamba Community College for graduation day. When we come back, it's Tiffany Hedren, Manager of Corporate Communications. Stay with us for Toyota, Mississippi. Stay with us.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older. I just wanna use your love tonight. I don't wanna lose your love tonight.
We are back Itawamba Community College today for a graduation, and the outfield bumping us into this segment. Your love from the All Hit Request line. Blake in the Delta sent us that one on the C Spire text line. Appreciate that. We're pleased to welcome now Tiffany Hedren, Manager of Corporate Communications with Toyota, Mississippi. Tiffany, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Jerome.
Yeah, so you guys have a pretty big operation up in this part of the state, right?
We do indeed, yes. We've got a 2 million square foot facility, been here since 2007. Last year we produced over 180,000 units. Those are Corollas, just for the U.S. market. And we have over 2,400 team members and about 3,000 overall people on our site, contractual vendors.
So it sounds like business was strong last year, right?
Business is booming. We're doing great. The Corolla continues to be at the top of the market globally, and that's across all OEMs. So we're pleased that, we've got a great product here in Mississippi that we're building, and there's a continual demand for that.
Yeah. So, got to ask you this, of course. Do you employ any ICC graduates?
We absolutely do, yes. And ICC is a huge partner for us. Of course, they are our key partner for our Advanced Manufacturing Technician program, our A&T program, which is a 2-year skilled maintenance degree, where our skilled maintenance techs, that's our pipeline. Those techs program and maintain our robots that help build our vehicles. So it's integral to our company, and ICC has been our partner for many years with that.
So one thing that's gotten my attention and impressed me is I've been doing this line of work and have been on several community college campuses and interviewed community college presidents and just folks across the education spectrum in general, especially in higher ed, is that there's more collaboration between industry and the private sector in education than ever before. That there was a time when there was kind of a firewall between companies and businesses and education, and you always felt, well, maybe the education folks ought to be listening to more what the businesses say about what their needs are, so they can build curricula that accommodates that and suits that and produce graduates that are ready to hit the ground running. But that seems to be the case. You guys work with ICC in that regard, do you not?
We absolutely do, and that's been Toyota's model since Mississippi started, and even before that when we were in the U.S. with our other manufacturing plants. The Blue Springs, Tupelo, Northeast region of Mississippi has welcomed us with open arms and has always been a collaborator for both K through 12 and then the tech college, primary universities. Those partners are huge, and they are a vital part of our business model. Of course, we have our Wellspring Endowment, our $50 million endowment, the Create Foundation, which goes entirely toward K through 12 education enhancement. We have our Driving Possibilities program, the $5.8 million investment in Pontotoc City and Lee County schools. That, again, is to develop STEM and workforce and professional development for teachers. And, of course, we've got a myriad of internship programs, including our 4T Academy in Union County that just graduated 11 seniors last night.
Wow.
All of which have received a job offer for a full-time position at Toyota.
That is awesome. So talk about, Tiffany, what it's like working inside a plant, a Toyota plant that manufactures these vehicles. First, vehicles are way more sophisticated and complex than they were. They're just computers with wheels on them, and a motor essentially is what they are, which I think is a good thing. It's made driving more pleasurable. It's made it safer, all the above. But the folks that build these vehicles, they're not just turning wrenches on an assembly line anymore.
That's right. Yeah, there is a good bit of technology integrated into our processes, obviously, in advanced manufacturing, and then also the product itself. So the Corolla turned 60 years this year, and there's 12 generations, right? So the first gen is not the same as the 12th gen that we're building right now. And even 4 years ago, right, where we had just come to Mississippi, that generation's completely different. So our students do need to have those skills and tech awareness, right? And including everything that they do on their cell phone, being adaptable and having that just kind of common sense knowledge, but then additional application of that, whether it's computer-based or tools, 3D printers, hydraulics, robotics, all of those things. And they're very present in other industries as well, but definitely advanced manufacturing. So it's key for us to be working collaboratively with educators, informing them on what industry needs are, and then also listening to them to see what barriers exist, right? Working with MDE to support change within the system for SACA credentials versus NCCER. Toyota was essential in doing that a few years ago, and a lot of our industry friends like Nissan, PACCAR, some of the other industry partners agreed with that. So we're also collaboratively in terms of business as well, and really that's the only way to do it, right? We all live in these communities, we all help support and grow them, and we need to work together to be able to do that, and ultimately keep that student as the main focus.
Yeah. So tell us again, how long has Toyota been in this area?
Since 2007.
Okay, 20 years, coming up on 20 years.
That's right. Next year will be our 20th anniversary.
So is it fair to say it was a good corporate decision on behalf of Toyota to build a plant locate here, Northeast Mississippi?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone who knows Toyota knows that we don't do anything without a lot of planning, thought, and research. And we were very selective about coming here to Blue Springs. Everything was just right. And the team that worked on the ground years before we landed here knew that too, and they worked to be able to bring us here. And there was a lot of folks involved in that Northeast region. So we are so grateful to be here in this community and to be a part of it, and to have an opportunity to work alongside educators like ICC, support the middle college, which those students go to ICC, Tupelo, Belden, and Fulton, to see them come to fruition and to choose their career paths and further develop our communities. That is ideally our biggest goal.
So, as the corporate communications director for Toyota Mississippi, any recent announcements that you can share with us, or anything that's on the drawing board for the future that you might be able to disclose?
Well, we've done a lot of stuff recently. Like I mentioned, our 4T grads, we've been on boots on the ground with teacher appreciation, opened a new grant program for teacher choice. So we've earmarked $60,000 for an open RFP for them. We'll announce those winners in September. We've got our 60th anniversary Corolla celebration coming up in the fall, which is a tie-in to the global birth of the Corolla, and how Mississippi played a role in that. We've got a super cool TV spot coming in a few weeks, so check LinkedIn and Bloomberg for that. That's all I can say.
Okay.
And we're continuing to grow and to enhance what we're doing here, and we're looking forward to the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, continuing to make investment in your operation here in Mississippi.
Absolutely. We just announced, a few months ago, $125 million investment to bring the hybrid Corolla to our lineup. So right now we produce just the ICE, which is the internal combustion engine. And there's high demand for the Corolla overall variants of the segment, right?
Yeah.
So hybrid being one of that. We believe in a diversified portfolio approach where we build what the customers want, not what we say that they should have. And so we're seeing an uptick in the hybrid sales, and now we're happy to bring that to Mississippi as well. And that just secures our future for more development.
Yeah. No doubt about it. So the tariff environment and all the volatility around that, is that affecting you guys in any way at this point?
Well, I don't think any OEM would say it's not, right? And
Sure.
That's something that we're continuing to work through. Toyota has done a great job in not passing a lot of that burden onto our customers.
Sure.
And we are always going to keep our team members, our customers, and our community number one. So we're trying to navigate this just as well as anyone else is.
Yeah. Well, it's dynamic, shall we say? It's
Indeed.
It can change at the drop of a hat, right? And we saw that yesterday. We've been talking about that on the show with the president in China. And then you got court rulings. You got new tariffs coming on, tariffs that are being relaxed and eliminated. So it is volatile. How do you guys plan around all that?
Well, I'll tell you that we are really good at a little something we call Kaizen, which is good change, continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And we're very agile. Toyota has always positioned ourselves in our company and our production process in a way where we can pivot as needed. And, a good example of that is that we haven't gone all the way into the EV market. Again, our diversified portfolio. So we have a myriad of offerings for our vehicles, and we've positioned ourselves strategically across the U.S. and continue to invest in the U.S. for manufacturing.
Yeah. That makes sense. So you mentioned earlier that everything that's manufactured here in Mississippi, it stays domestically.
That is true.
It is distributed and sold, I guess, through dealers within the country, right?
Yes, sir. That's right. We build in America for Americans by Americans.
That's awesome. Love it. Well, we're glad you're here in Mississippi, and we enjoyed the conversation and appreciate your support of Itawamba Community College. That's what we're here today for, of course, is to celebrate their graduation, and I'm sure there's some fabulous graduates that you'll be bringing on.
Yes, sir, and graduates of our already existing team members. So
that's awesome.
My congrats on behalf of all of us at Toyota to the graduates on this very exciting accomplishment and what comes next.
Tiffany Hedden, Manager of Corporate Communications, Toyota Mississippi, has been our guest here at Itawamba Community College. After the break, it's Scott Emerson, Construction Management Technology Program Director at ICC. Stay with us.
Thanks so much, Gerard.
Thank you.
Now back to Middays with Gerard here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Wealth Studio at the Davis Activity Center on the campus of Itawamba Community College. It's a graduation day, and we're pleased to welcome now Scott Emerson, Construction Management Technology Program Director here at ICC. Scott, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Gerard.
All right, so I know what construction is. I know what technology is. It's not surprised that they're blended now, as is everything else with technology. Tell us about construction technology management. What's that all about?
So we started this program about 5 years ago. We will graduate today, our third class coming through the program. And the program really was established to try and grow leaders. Develop leaders and get kids that were interested in a management track. And that doesn't mean they come out of here and they immediately, I always tell people, you're not leaving here with the keys to an F-250 and leading 15 people on a six-figure salary, but you would definitely be on the track.
Thank you for doing that, by the way, and setting the expectation.
Yeah, so it's been an exciting journey. We spend 2 years with these students, and what we try to do is immerse them in everything that they could possibly see out in the commercial or residential or civil construction world, to try to get them ready for a track in construction.
Yeah.
Really, one of our biggest tasks is probably to try and just be a big champion for CTE and for construction.
Yeah.
And so we need young people entering the field, and so that we feel like that's part of our job, and our task here is to encourage and recruit and do everything we can, and then try to develop them and give them proficient skills while they're here, and send them out with a little work ethic, and maybe a step ahead to get them on a track for their career path.
Well, Scott, let's think about that. There's probably more construction going up in the state of Mississippi now than maybe ever at the same time in all quarters of the state.
Absolutely. I've been in this industry for about 17 or 18 years prior to coming to teach, and it is right now there are bigger projects on the boards. It seems like there are more quantity in our projects, and so it is. It's been incredible to see, and we have had zero problems being able to establish partnerships with industry, but then also land our students in a job, which is probably the most important thing.
100%. That's awesome. That's what you do this for.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that has created a market where the demand grossly exceeds the supply. So I haven't checked this in a while, but got to believe that the pay has been boosted as a result.
The pay has been boosted. We have students coming out of our program. Of course, this is all across career education. You see this in electrical, you see this in welding, you see this in robotics and everything. You just had somebody from Toyota come on. Obviously, they're a huge partner of Itawamba Community College in placing our students. But also, I mean, just within our own program, construction management, in 4 years, we've seen about 20% increases in what these students are able to make. If they're willing to go on and get a bachelor's degree, there's even more opportunity. I see.
So if a student is graduating from high school and they're going through that decision-making process, go to 4-year school, go to 2-year school, enter a program like this, go directly to the workforce, what advice would you give?
Well, I'd like to get a hold of that student because we'd love to encourage them to come here. We think we've got a really good platform, and it's not just construction management. We look at electrical technology, you look at welding, you look at all these other programs. They offer quick pathways to really help a student get started. And so our program is built on 2 days a week. The students are with us on 2 days a week, which gives them 3 days a week to complete an internship, an apprenticeship, and so they're getting field experience. And so I always preach this, is that when you step out of here, your resume will read what your resume reads. You can leave here with a ton of field experience and already kind of gotten your career off the ground and your diploma and some proficient technical skills, or you could not do your internship, but it's kind of at your own detriment. So we love the fact that our students are able to leave here with some field experience and be able to kind of walk right into the workforce ready to go.
Well, the employers like that as well, right? You're helping solve a big problem they have, which is keeping the ranks filled with productive employees, and you're preparing them for those jobs, and it's more practical education, right, that aligns with the needs that employers have.
Absolutely. We our students get sort of a hybrid of education while they're here. They get to see a lot of job sites. They get to see a lot of labs. They do a lot of hands-on stuff. I tell people all the time, our program in particular is not carpentry. You're not coming here to go into a wood shop, but we are teaching all the skills that it would take to learn how to be a contractor, learn how to manage big projects, and to be useful in the workforce one day. We love the fact that we're teaching skills that are applicable and useful in the trade. And so the workforce needs them. They needed them yesterday. We can't fill enough gaps. We're only able to let in 35 in our program each year. We handle 2 cohorts at a time. But if we could hold 200 students, we have the demand is out there.
That's awesome. And I'll just kind of end with this, but the fact that the word management is included in the description of the title of the program is important, because managing these projects can be the difference between succeeding and failing on those projects.
Absolutely. When you have millions on the line, it takes somebody who can have a good head on their shoulders and manage their way through the process.
You're orchestrating a lot.
That's
with
right.
Lots of inputs and outputs, and beset with issues and challenges every day that you have to manage, of course. So.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, Scott. Scott Emerson, Construction Management Technology Program Director here at ICC. Thanks for coming on, Scott. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you being here today.
You bet. It's top of the hour. That means Fox News, SuperTalk News coming your way. On the other side, it's Dr. Jay Allen, the president of Itawamba Community College. Stay with us.
Of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 2 of Middays. The Element Wealth Studio has been relocated to Itawamba Community College today. That's because it's a graduation day on this
Friday, y'all.
We're pleased to welcome now Dr. Jay Allen, the president of Itawamba Community College. Dr. Allen, always good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Gerard, thanks for having me, man. We love having y'all on campus today.
Appreciate you having us. It's been a busy day. We've got the privilege of having the big television here
right.
In the suite, and we've been watching the stage, and you were pretty busy down there giving out all those diplomas.
There's a lot of
smile on everybody's face.
A lot of handshaking, a lot of helping them pose for a photo there and giving them that diploma cover, and it's one of my favorite days of the year without a doubt.
It's awesome, and to see those kids celebrating and hear their families clapping in the background as they cross the stage.
Absolutely.
You're handing them, you're conferring that diploma to them. That's a pretty big deal.
It is, and I encourage students to march every time they graduate from whatever institution it is. March, because number one, it's the closing in to all that work you've done.
Yeah.
But then also, it gives you a chance to really celebrate that with the family and hopefully get a really good meal out of it. Somebody's going to take you to dinner. That's always my theory.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we'll march a little over 900 today.
Wow.
And so it's really, we'll graduate well over 1,100 this year.
So you got three sessions?
3 ceremonies, and divided by alphabet for the Associate of Arts, and then in the afternoon at 4:30 we'll do one for all of our health science programs, including nursing, as well as our career technical students.
Okay. Well, that sounds like enrollment's pretty strong, huh?
Enrollment's strong, been up about 14% over the last 4 years, so we're very proud about that trend. Hope it will continue to grow. Of course, we're doing orientations right now, and we hope that'll continue to grow for this fall. And I tell you, it's been a blessing. Still have a huge waiting list for housing typically.
Wow.
So, you can end up with about 600 students on the waiting list at any given time in that process. That's a lot of students that we need a space for.
Yeah.
I just can't build them fast enough.
Well, I don't want to disparage your community college president peers,
yes,
but you got the best setting for a community college, and maybe a college period.
Thank you. I appreciate
certainly in the
that.
state. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. We're extremely blessed. Really, all 3 of our locations are while they are unique, they're beautiful places. And our Tupelo campus is a beautiful setting with a lake there on campus.
Yep.
Our Belden Center was formerly a manufacturing site for furniture.
Right.
But yet we've been able to convert that, and it is a wonderful space for us. Now, you can't say that the outside is necessarily beautiful, but when you get on the inside, you're like, oh, with what's in here and
awesome.
what we're doing for the community, it's a huge impact.
That's awesome. So To what extent, Dr. Allen, do you track the placement of the graduates? Do you guys keep up with that?
We do. We follow, especially in our career programs, our career technical programs in health science. We have to follow them because of Perkins dollars and requirements and the like from the feds. So we track that and we keep up. The other great thing is we have advisory boards with each one of those programs. So they're going to meet with those faculty members on a periodic basis to where they're keeping track of, okay, so you've hired our graduates. How are they doing?
Yeah.
What do they need more of or less of or something? Where do we, do we really need to change around us? Where do we need to spend a little more time in the classroom or in the lab?
Yeah.
And so, or the clinical experience. And so we go through that. Of course, with our apprenticeship program, in many of our career technical programs, they are working 3 days a week while they're in class 2 days a week.
Okay.
So they have to report back as to that student's performance at the job site. So we get a lot of that give and take and feedback, and if they're starting to see that something's just not where it needs to be, then we'll spend more time in that area. Of course, in the health science field, especially in nursing, you're in that clinical setting so much as they move through that program. They're getting that constant feedback and the reinforcement of what they've been learning in the classroom.
Makes total sense, and I just I know I beat this horse to death, but I'm so impressed with the fact that level of collaboration is occurring. It hasn't always been that way.
It hasn't, and I'll tell you, we can't just start a program because we want to. When it's a career technical program, we have to go through a process to prove that there's a need, that there are jobs to be had, not jobs just tomorrow. I can't graduate 10 and they all get the jobs and there's not another job for 10 years. No, we've got to make sure that there's the long-term need for that. Scott Emerson's program, Construction Management, was actually a request from industry. We sat down and brainstormed with them. It took a little while to get everybody, kind of understanding what their needs were, what our abilities were, and we built that out with their help. Okay. And so it is totally geared towards what they wanted. And they're not teaching them how to run a circular saw. They're teaching them how to manage those projects.
Exactly.
And some of them will be more hands-on than others, as you could imagine.
Sure.
But they're teaching them how to manage the projects, whether that be on the site or back at the shop and do all the submittals and the bidding. So that's a perfect example of our partnership with industry, and we couldn't do it without the industry partner. In today's world, with what it costs to do so many and buy so much of this equipment, we need some of their donations of equipment or dollars, or simply sometimes their buying power. When they're going to buy 300 robots to put on the floor of a manufacturing site, we can get a trainer at a lower price.
Okay.
So that
makes
helps
total
out.
sense. Yeah.
Helps out.
Well, gosh, in the old days, you pretty much got your degree, and if they hired you on, they'd have to teach you all those skills,
That's
right?
correct.
And that, which is not only a cost burden to them, but there's a time factor associated with that, and time is money.
It is, so. And you think about your degrees back in the past, and you in your former life, hiring somebody at Venture.
Yeah.
You there was a time you had to ramp them up to really be a performer.
Correct.
There were some hires that probably went faster than others.
Right.
And I think that's true in pretty much every field. But the closer we can get them to that part of where they're actually returning a value for that organization is better for everybody.
Yeah. Well, the fact that they continue to hire your graduates, though, is that not the litmus test for that you're 100%. Doing something right?
I mean, I love it when they tell me they want more of them. And I'm like, I want more graduates. So let's work together and figure out a way to do this. Yeah. And that's what you really want. Our health science has been like that for so many years. Our career technical as well. Our associate of art students, they're typically going on to a university setting.
Okay.
The great thing is when I see those university partners looking at what's happening with those students and they want more of them, the data we get back from our IHL 8 public universities tells us that our graduates are producing like the second highest number of bachelor's degrees in the state.
Awesome.
We're only 5th or 6th in size.
Yeah.
So they're turning around and they're graduating at a higher rate.
That's incredible.
The highest GPA of all transfer students and higher than the student who started at the university. Take my own daughter, graduated here, graduated at Mississippi State. I paid probably $8,000 for that total degree. Tuition fees, not living expense there. You can do that by leveraging scholarships both here and at that university because of your work as a transfer student. That's an affordable degree.
Sure.
It requires no student loans. And where else can you do that? Mississippi provides you an unbelievable setting with this college setting with all of the student engagement opportunities at our price point, and then what it allows you to do when you go to that university. It's huge.
What a great value. So wanted to ask you this, Dr. Allen. Yeah. So there's no question that Mississippi has been thrust on the education map with respect to its gains in K-12 education.
Absolutely.
So are you seeing that manifest in our high school graduates when they enroll here?
Yes, yes and no. So here's the reality: that group, that third grade group, is getting to the point where they're getting to us. So we're starting to see some of those impacts.
Okay.
We still have a number, unfortunately, that need what we used to call remediation.
Remedial, yeah.
We don't do remedial classes anymore. What we do is they're co-curricular classes. So we're going to take the students that are not ready to jump into just regular college classes. We're going to put them in a special setting where they're going to take the regular English comp class, but with an extra hour added on, with a set of supplemental or extra instruction and experience, kind of a lab experience.
Okay.
So we're helping them grow during that current semester so they can complete English comp on time.
Now,
and
makes
not
sense.
get behind.
We've
done that with math and English extremely well. We're looking at it in some other areas as well. We take it's a program called Access for us, and we've had 95% success rate with those students.
Yeah,
that is an unbelievable success rate. But they also take all their classes together.
Okay,
and
interesting.
We've even taken it where instead of them going 2 days a week to English, they'll go 4. It's the same amount of student learning outcomes. We don't lower the rigor. We just spread it out over time.
That makes sense.
So they're getting more repetitive touches, and we're finding a huge success rate with them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we still work with students that aren't ready.
But I think your point is that they hadn't gotten to that level yet,
Not
based
totally.
on the gains that we're making, because it's mostly centered around elementary school.
That's correct.
Third and fourth grade.
That's right.
And it was just common sense reforms, was it not?
Absolutely.
Wasn't any magic there. Wasn't any miracle, as the New York Times go. And the governor likes to say that all the time. It wasn't a miracle.
No, we put standards.
Yeah.
And I find
Imagine that.
Yeah, I find that with our students. When we set a standard, most are going to reach that standard.
Sure.
And they really will. When it becomes the positive peer pressure to study, that's the great thing. That's what
that makes perfect sense.
And there's a lot of that.
That's what drives people.
Absolutely.
It's in our DNA to be driven
There's some
that way.
students, you had employees, you could put every barrier in front of them and they would find a way to succeed.
Totally true.
But there's others that one barrier will make them leave.
That's exactly right.
And we have to remove those barriers and or teach them how to get over it.
Okay.
So there is that we are still educating them about life as well as what they're learning in the classroom.
Which is critically important.
Absolutely.
And just as important as the content in the classroom, 100%. If not more, to a great extent.
Because that's what they're going to use when they get to the job.
No doubt about it.
So,
Dr. Jay Allen, president of Itawamba Community College, has been our guest because it's graduation day here at ICC. Appreciate it, Dr.
Hey,
Allen.
thank you so much. Love having you on campus. Great to visit with you as well.
Thanks for having us on. Enjoyed it as well. When we come back, it's Senator Daniel Sparks. Stay with us.
In Mississippi, we have...
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Itawamba Community College. That's where we've temporarily relocated the Element Wealth studio. That's because it's a big-time day. It's graduation day on the campus of ICC. We enjoyed our conversation with, of course, the president of ICC, Dr. Jay Allen. What a great job he does here as the head of this institution. But right now it's Senator Daniel Sparks. He represents exactly where we are, Itawamba, Prentiss, and Tishomingo counties in the northeast corner of the great state of Mississippi. Serves as the chair of the Economic and Workforce Development Committee, vice chair, Judd B. Committee. Senator, good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
It's good to be here. Good to have you in Fulton, Mississippi today.
Absolutely. Always love coming up here. It's such a beautiful setting. And I, of course, complimented Dr. Allen on the setting that he has to work in here, and not to disparage the other fantastic community colleges across our state. They all have great campuses, honestly. But this setting up here, it's unusual because you don't think you're in Mississippi when you're up here, honestly.
They do have some great land around them that shows a little different topography, I guess it is, than what you see across the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I tell you, I feel a bit like Garth Brooks with this headset. I'm not sure how this works, but no, they do a great job here.
Move this thing move that boom. Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah,
Right,
there you
we
go. Yeah,
thank you. But no, it is amazing what they do here, how nimble they are and flexible they are. And I heard Dr. Allen talking about delivering industry, specifically what they need, working with that partnership. And when you talk about economic and workforce development, we for years tried to educate what we thought they needed, and we didn't go ask industry, what do you really need?
100%.
And
not when I went to school, they didn't.
Right.
That's for sure.
And so the community colleges across the board are much more flexible and willing to do that, and working with Accelerate Mississippi and Dr. Taylor. We've seen some real wins across the state of Mississippi, and ICC's been a huge part of that.
Well, the good news, and you were at the event the other night, the governor talked about it, is with our historic low unemployment rate, Mississippians are working. Little bit of work to do there, but still making tremendous positive progress there. And I think that's largely because our economy is thriving and folks need workers.
I think they do. And, it's one of the things that we've often not done well as Republicans is play long ball. And if you think about what happened over the last decade or so, certainly the gains that we've had in education have been much talked about, and our teachers across K-12 and the community college and IHL system deserve the credit for that. But when you change your tax environment, when you begin to be tax-friendly environment for business, one of the things, site development grant investment that we made, the governor referred to that. And if you think about it, if I go get money for a local place in my district, in Senate District 5, and we build a bridge or a road that's needed, people see that and they immediately say, that's great. But when we do things like pay off $1.4 billion of the state's debt on the credit card, nobody cuts a ribbon for paying off debt, but it puts us in a stronger position, the same way with the site development grants. And so I think it's been a collaborative effort, and we're really starting to see the fruits of the labor of the investment. And again, playing the long game, not making the snap decision, not being driven by what gets you a press clip, but really investing in the state of Mississippi, just like our educational institutions are investing in our students. And one of the things, particularly in the community college environment, is we're re-educating people because of the change in technology and the things that jobs become obsolete. And, we hear about the benefits of AI, and people are afraid of, job shrinking, but there will be other jobs. And the community college will be the tip of the spear to help train people in a rapid fashion to raise their earning capacity, get them back into the job market, and that's what drives the GDP of the state.
The governor talked the other night that he had to be kind of pulled over the finish line to get on board with the site development grant, and I'm with him. I had my doubts about that, but I think, Senator, we're going to look back one day at this tremendous economic expansion wave that's occurring in our state and say, you know what, that was probably one of the best policies ever.
It really is that, and your tax policies, the things that maybe don't immediately deliver, again, a press clipping or something that you can say, hey, we did this, and that takes patience, it takes courage. It takes political courage, because sometimes if you take the resources of the state, which are limited, and you put them towards something that is advantageous for you in the short term, it's good for you politically, but is it really good for the state of Mississippi? And ultimately, if you're a steward of those tax dollars, you shouldn't be trying to get instant gratification.
Yeah, totally agree.
You should get long-term investment.
All right, so the governor, as you know, says no need to come to Jackson next week. Everything is cool with the Supreme Court districts. Your thoughts on that? And, of course, the big question on everybody's mind, Senator, is should we proceed with redrawing our congressional districts?
Well, I had cleared my calendar for the 20th to come down for the special session. I understand the governor's logic as it relates to the judicial districts, the Supreme Court districts, because as I understand Clay, and Clay is following up on Rucho from 5 or 6 years earlier, that talks about partisan gerrymandering, which we saw the attempt in Virginia. We've seen it across the country. The Supreme Court has said that's not a violation of the Voting Rights Act. And so in Mississippi, obviously, we have 4 congressional seats. and we have 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat, and people want to redraw those lines in the spirit of what we're seeing in other states, to have all Republicans. And I think that's a good idea, to give all Republicans a chance to have those 4 seats, because I'm an unapologetic Republican. I'm a lifelong Republican.
Sure.
And from a partisan standpoint, we do need to draw those districts. There are other things on down the ballot that, in my opinion, are even worse right now. One particularly is 2 judgeships in DeSoto County that we drew a year ago, which we drew into sub-districts, which were drawn specifically for majority representation, which, as I understand, Calais, is in direct violation.
Exactly.
So if we get called in a special, whether the governor calls us, because the governor has the sole discretion. I know sometimes people want to know why I want the legislature to do something. The governor has the keys to the car when it's a special session, and he revved it up, and we were ready to get in it, and then he saw fit to say we need to spend a little more time on this.
Yeah.
But the judicial districts are so important. We've seen what happened with the United States Supreme Court. I'll go back to Mitch McConnell holding the line on the Merrick Garland nomination, maybe one of the most important things that was done in politics in the last 20 years, because we've seen the benefit of actually having a conservative court. So I do worry about these sub-districts that we've drawn, particularly in DeSoto County. Those seats have not been filled yet. Those elections are ongoing. So I would encourage those to be on the table immediately. And then the congressional districts, because Mississippi has already run its primaries, it makes it a little more complicated. I heard the governor, I think on SuperTalk this week, talking about Illinois is the only other state maybe that has had that issue.
Yep.
And if we were to redraw and survive the court challenge that would certainly come if we redrew for this cycle, it would force all 3 Republicans to run again in the primaries. And the maps that are going around, and I actually got named to the redistricting committee yesterday on the Senate side, so I'll be spending a lot of time with this. But again, some of the maps that are out there that show plus 20 Republican districts for all 4 seats is a mathematical impossibility. So I'm not sure who's drawing those districts or how they're getting that. But if we thought we could draw 4 R plus 20s, I'd be down there with my pen tomorrow ready to sign.
I'm not sure you could do it with a contiguous district.
No, it's and those are the things we're going to look at. And again, from the standpoint of Mississippi, every state's different. In the state of Mississippi, we have the highest black population in the country
as a percentage of our total.
Of our total population. Right. And when people talk about partisan gerrymandering, they have to be very clear that the court has said that's fine. You want Republicans and you've got a Republican-controlled legislature, that's wonderful. You cannot draw lines based on race to favor or disfavor. And as I've told people again and again, and I'm an attorney by trade, we're going to follow the law. The law has changed significantly, and so therefore I do think if you're going to follow the law and draw districts, then some of these districts need to be redrawn. I don't think the challenge that we had 2 years ago that caused us to lose 2 Senate seats would happen under Calais.
Yeah.
So I do think we need to look at all of these districts, not just the congressional districts, but judicial districts. I think supervisor districts. There's a lawsuit out there. I think again in
your
DeSoto
colleague
County.
Senator Mike McClendon has pointed this out as well quite a bit recently with respect to the judicial redistricting. So we got about a minute left. Before you go, I've seen you speak a couple of times in the last month. You are telling people you're running for state auditor.
Well, we'll be in Belmont, Mississippi at 5:30 at Sparks Restaurant, where I need to be to make an announcement about the future. I'm going to tell you, I've loved being in the Mississippi State Senate. The people at District 5 have been very good to me, and my colleagues have allowed me to work. We want to be more effective. We want to be more engaged.
And you're also a new daddy as well.
I am.
Congratulations on that.
That's the best thing I got going right now.
100%.
I'm married well, and we have a lovely 4-month-old Hudson.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Appreciate you coming on, Senator.
Thank you. It's always good to be with you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Daniel Sparks has been our guest. He represents the county we're in right now. That's Itawamba. We're here at Itawamba Community College for big graduation day. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
From the Zebra.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's do this.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Well studio at Itawamba Community College. Baba O'Reilly by The Who bumping us into this segment. Appreciate that, Rhino. So tomorrow, believe it or not, is big-time primary day in the great state of Louisiana. To our west, it is Senator Bill Cassidy, who is on the ballot over there, and he does not have support from the president or from the polls, it turns out. He has a challenger, Julia Leto. I'm not sure if it's Leto or Letau, right? I've never heard the last name pronounced. And she, too, is on the ballot, challenging him for that particular seat. And the president is indicated he's not a huge fan of Cassidy, and I think that's rooted into the fact that he was involved in the impeachment of the president back in his first term. Letlow, I think is the name, Letlow. She is a third-term House member in the State House, and she is running against the incumbent, Senator Bill Cassidy, Dr. Cassidy, I believe. She was elected to Congress in 21, get this, in a special election for a seat that her husband won, but ended up not being able to fill it. And that was because he died of COVID-19 complications a few days before he was to be sworn in. So that's interesting. So John Fleming, he's also a contender in this race. He is the current state treasurer of the state of Louisiana, the first Republican to announce his intent to challenge Senator Cassidy. Said the incumbent's vote to convict Mr. Trump is the number one issue in the primary. So they're really making this all about Trump. And this is what Coleman said. You see his account on Twitter post stuff like, oh, well, we have a poll showing that 69% of Republican voters have a favorable opinion of Bill Cassidy. That's not great. Mr. Cassidy has been behind Letlow and Fleming in most polls of likely Republican voters. Now, of course, in typical primary fashion, if no candidate earns more than 50% of the vote tomorrow, that's when they vote in Louisiana on Saturdays. That's a likely outcome when you have three contenders in the race. The top two, of course, will go to a runoff that June 27th. So this could be a bit of a harbinger of how incumbents will fare in the upcoming midterm elections, and certainly from the perspective of the United States Senate. Interesting. So, also, the Supreme Court handed down a ruling yesterday that preserves, at least temporarily, for now, access to the abortion pill by mail. This is a decision that stayed a lower court's ruling that restricted access to the drug because there's litigation on this that is working its way through the courts. Now, we just passed legislation here in Mississippi in this particular session that essentially bans that practice of abortion pills being shipped into our state, even if properly prescribed by out-of-state doctors. But our legislature passed legislation. The governor signed it into law. But this ruling by the Supreme Court, I don't think it necessarily conflicts with our state law here. I don't think it overrides that. It's my understanding. You have a different take on it, Rhino? I think this would just affect those states that actually allow it. So this is considered, I should say, a victory for the pro-choice folks and a defeat for the pro-life folks.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in there that's going to be a blanket change across the board for anybody. It's just kind of, if you allow it, it's allowed. If you don't, it's not allowed.
Yeah, and that's because the key aspect of the reversal of the Roe v. Wade decision from 1972 was to send the issue to the states. So states then passed laws within their state. In our state's case, you recall, Rhino, we had a trigger measure that was sitting out there essentially on the chance, the prospect that Roe v. Wade would be overturned. It would trigger it, which means it would go into effect on that basis. And that happened, and so that trigger law went into effect, which significantly restricts abortion. There are only a couple of exceptions in our state. But I don't think anybody was thinking about that surgical abortions. Nobody was thinking about now this pill form, and thus our legislature acted and passed a measure that also prohibits that, the pills from being shipped into the state from out-of-state providers of such medicine. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I only scanned that decision. I was more interested in the one that allows for freight handling companies to be held liable when they hire unsafe drivers.
Yeah, another new decision. I think that's all targeted at this situation where so many of these dang companies have been hiring illegals who can't speak and write the English language as commercial truck drivers. And we've talked about these truck driver training. I'm not going to call them schools. They're really scam mills is what they are. You just kind of show up, pay your money, and a couple of days later they hand you a commercial driver's license, right, Rhino? We talked about that. And only to find out that they really weren't required to complete any sort of rigorous education or training that would demonstrate their qualifications and their competency to drive a commercial vehicle. And so that was exposed, and there have been a number of problems, of course, that have cost some folks their lives, literally because these people driving these trucks cannot read or write the English language. It's impossible, I would say, to function as a safe truck driver in that particular case. So, yeah, that's getting certainly a lot of attention. Brian on the C Spire text line asks from Clarksdale an interesting question. How many times has SuperTalk invited Benny Thompson to be on the show? Hey, Rhino, about as many times as we've invited Senator Dennis DeBar to come on the show. State Senator Dennis DeBar. Too many to count. Rhino, have we not, on our show, have we not actually on the air said, hey, Congressman Thompson or anyone on your staff, we know occasionally that somebody's listening in. You have a standing invitation to appear on Middays. Yeah, numerous times. So we would welcome the congressman, and I can assure you it would be a productive discussion, and we would do our best to not make it confrontational. You know the problem, Rhino? He couldn't. He would want to get confrontational with me. I really do believe that. I will say that Representative Robert Johnson, who's the House Minority Leader from Adams County in the state of Mississippi House of Representatives, he was on last week. We've had him on several times. I think we have a good, open, civil discussion. We don't get confrontational. He of course, always highlights a lot of stuff we don't agree with, and sometimes he'll say things we kind of challenging him on is the way to put it. And we're going to try to get him back on. You remember last time he was unable to stay another segment. I thought we were having at it so good that it made sense to keep him on additionally, but he was unable. He had to go take his father to the doctor, he told us. Well, I saw him the other night, by the way. And I said, look, we still want to get you back on. He said, I'd like to come back on. I'm ready. So our content director, Alex Payton, who's with us up here in Itawamba today, said we're getting him back on next week. So the only point I'm trying to make there is he is a person I think we can have a productive conversation with to see what he and his party, certainly from a state level, are thinking I'm not so sure we could get that same sort of conversation with Congressman Benny Thompson. I've seen him speak before live, and he just always seems to lean into being confrontational and almost borderline hostile. Almost makes you think he's covering something up. Rhino, what do you think about that?
Well, he's not a very bright individual to begin with.
I hear you. But, yeah, just so you know, Brian, and the rest of the audience, he has a standing invitation. We're coming right back with Landon Long, Associate of Arts graduate from Itawamba Community College. Stay with us.
Itawamba, Mississippi.
Are we going to do this? Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Keep rolling. 3, 2, 1.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from the Element Well studio on the campus of Itawamba Community College for graduation day. That's what we're here for. And, in fact, we're speaking to one of those who is going to walk and receive his degree later on this afternoon. That's Landon Long, Associate of Arts graduate from Itawamba Community College. Landon, thanks for coming on. Well, also, congratulations to you. You're set to walk this afternoon at 1 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So you are receiving an Associate of Arts degree, and what are your plans after you get your degree?
So once I get my degree, I'm planning on transferring down to Delta State in Cleveland.
Okay. And what are you going to study there?
I'm planning on studying aviation.
Oh, really?
Aviation flight operations. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what sort of career are you thinking about with once you get that degree?
So the end goal with aviation for me would be either commercial aviation, wanting to wind up either FedEx or a commercial airline somewhere. Of course, after I get through all the regionals and private pilot stuff, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the end goal is probably FedEx.
Okay.
Yes,
so have you flown an airplane before?
Yes, sir. I am. My check ride is next month.
Oh, really?
Private pilot. Yes, sir.
Okay. You flying a 172? Or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Out of
I'm an instrument-rated private pilot.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's
yeah.
cool. Yes, sir. Yeah. I got you.
I have to think back when I got my 1998, I think. That's when I did that. So,
okay.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Congratulations. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. It's really cool to just, decide you want to go up one day and you just go up and fly around, look at everything.
I know. So, but your check ride is, what'd you say, next week?
Yeah, next month.
Next month. You ready?
For the most part.
Okay.
Yeah,
You done your cross countries and all that?
Yes, sir.
So you've completed all that?
Yes, sir.
You're good to go, man.
Yeah. just some final prep, just looking over some, notes and stuff and getting all my information in my mind going into it.
What interested you in aviation?
I think my interest came from my love to travel around. I love going on vacations. I love to travel, and just being able to travel for your job.
Yeah, that's cool.
Being able to see the world, and they make pretty good money.
And they pay you to do it.
They pay you to travel, and it's a great and the more I looked into it, they get a lot of off time. They get a lot of benefits with that too, and then. That's what really wrote me in was getting to travel, getting paid to travel, all the benefits that go with that.
Yeah, and you're probably aware we need pilots. We're not producing enough,
Yes, sir.
right? So that should be a pretty good labor market when you're at that point. And so how's your experience been here at Itawamba Community College?
It's been fantastic. I don't want to leave. I'm looking forward to graduation and the ceremony and everything like that, but I'm not ready to leave ICC. I absolutely love it here. ICC just has a lot of different things going on campus, a lot of different clubs and organizations that have really, and even this right here, that's ICC has provided a lot of opportunities for me to get out of my comfort zone and grow as a student and a person. It's been fantastic.
And the professors, the instruction, the classes have been good as well?
Oh, yeah. The professors have been awesome. I saw one of them in the Mexican restaurant down the road the other day that I had, first semester of freshman year. It's been a long time. And she called my name across the restaurant, was waving at me and stuff. It's just really cool how personable the teachers can be here.
When they know your name like
exactly,
that, see you out in public, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you from, Landon?
I'm from Pontotoc.
Okay.
So right down the road,
so
about
not
45
far.
minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know where you might be assigned should you land a job with one of these commercial airlines or FedEx,
right,
for example.
Not sure.
No telling, huh?
Hopefully around the Memphis area. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Is there a particular model jet that you'd like to fly?
Just a big one, I guess.
Yeah.
not a specific model.
Yeah.
Just wanting to get there, really.
Okay. Awesome. That is incredible. So, what does your family say about you wanting to be an aviator?
Well, they're really excited. We don't have any other pilots in our family. My parents have both been looking forward to me getting my private, so they can go up with me. My mom's been up with me with my instructor before.
Yeah.
Poor mom, she was in the back seat in that little 172. But they're really excited for me, and they're excited to go on airplane rides with me too.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Oh yeah.
You don't do loops and rolls and stuff.
Oh no, I'm not
you can't
quite
do
to
that in
level.
172.
Right,
actually,
I'm not quite to that level yet.
No, that's pretty cool. So, where did you train out of? What airport?
So I started off in Tupelo, and then I have shifted to Pontotoc. I use Magnolia Aviation.
Yeah.
Mr. Chase Jeffco, he started that very recently out of Pontotoc.
And is pretty excited about you continuing your career at Delta State to study aviation?
Oh, yeah.
I bet, huh? That's pretty. It's a unique program they have at Delta State for that. One unique in the country, honestly. Have graduated lots of folks that have gone on to be very successful private pilots, as you know, or commercial pilots, excuse me.
That's one of the reasons I chose Delta State, was because they have a lot of praise and a lot of positive things about their aviation program. They're known for their aviation program. I feel like so that was easy for me to decide where I was going.
Well, I'm glad that you had a great experience here at Itawamba Community College, and I know it's bittersweet for you as it comes to an end as you'll walk this afternoon. But bigger and better things are ahead for you, I guarantee you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Landon Long, Associate of Arts graduate from Itawamba Community College, going to go be a pilot. That's pretty exciting. Thanks, Landon.
Yes, sir.
We're coming right back after Fox News and SuperTalk News. It's Mike Claiborne, president of the Create Foundation. Stay with us.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
That's what I like to listen to.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert. Here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Winter is here again.
Welcome back, everyone. It's hour 3, the afternoon portion of Middays. We are live from Itawamba Community College on this
Friday, y'all.
It's our great pleasure to welcome now Mike Claiborne, president of the Create Foundation. Hey, Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Big day here at Itawamba Community College. All these graduates receiving their degrees, walking across the stage. There's Dr. Jay Allen hands them their diploma. That's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting for the students of what lies ahead, their families that have been on the journey, and you know what a great privilege we have in Mississippi to have the community college system that we have, and we in the Create area we actually. There are 4 community colleges in our area, and of course Itawamba being one of those, and so we're very proud of them and their accomplishments.
Tremendous assets for the state of Mississippi, no doubt about it, and Itawamba, no exception to that for sure. So tell us about the Create Foundation.
Well, you know, a lot of good things going on. We're certainly proud to be the oldest community foundation in Mississippi, starting in 1972, and very thankful for the generous support that we have from people all over northeast Mississippi and the 17 counties that we cover. I was just mentioning earlier, into April, we hit an all-time high in assets of $205 million.
Wow.
So that makes us the largest community foundation in the state. And so it's really a privilege that we have to work with people to try to make our region a better place to live, and so, you know, there are a lot of different opinions on how to go about that, but really what we do at Create is focus in 2 major areas. One is the charitable giving arena philanthropy. But then what really makes us a little different than many community foundations is the regional community development side of things that we have, and in particular the Commission on the Future of Northeast Mississippi. And so we just had our State of the Region meeting May 6th, and had a great crowd there focusing on two important issues. One, the youth court system and child-appointed advocates was one segment of it, and the other segment is especially important right now. It's the disaster relief response, and of course, I grew up in Amory, and so was pretty involved in supporting the effort after the major tornado in 2023 in Amory. And so they've had 3 years of experience of what long-term recovery means. But then the ice storm.
Yep.
My goodness, I don't know if anybody's seen anything quite like that. And it affected, at least of our counties, 8 pretty heavily and 2 others. And and it ranged from the smallest county in our region, Benton County, to the one of the largest, Lafayette, Oxford, and so when you look across the region, mostly rural, there's different level of preparedness, and so CREATE was proud to play a role in helping the response and getting some resources to some of the immediate needs. But the final thing I say about that is one of the lessons learned is every community, county needs to be more prepared before something happens. And so that's part of what we're doing, is to try to encourage that and make the contacts and facilitate those things getting in place.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, typically when we think of preparedness, we think about our great Mississippi Gulf Coast and the hurricanes that they're always on the lookout for. And we just had Scott Simmons from Mississippi Emergency Management Agency on a couple of weeks ago discussing it being Hurricane Preparedness Week and a set of advice that they are publishing and distributing to the residents of that area, as you said, to get ready in the case that something pops up, which has become pretty common on our Mississippi Gulf Coast. I think what is unique about Mississippi, as you noted, is that ice storm, it affected such a large area. I mean, incredible for a weather event like that. And then, of course, we had the tornadoes in southwest Mississippi a couple of weeks ago. I was down there Wednesday speaking in Macomb. And then, of course, we're approaching hurricane season, so we're always on the lookout for weather events.
Absolutely, and what we've seen through this is when it happens, there has to be an immediate response, obviously, and of course, the Red Cross is great in getting there, and there are local community organizations that pitch in, but the federal money, the state money, all of that takes time, and so what we saw was we needed to get resources quickly to people on the ground that understand what's going on in their county. And one of the fortunate things that we have at CREATE is we have 17 affiliates, and so in essence they're the community foundation for their county, and so they're local people that understand who can get things done, where money needs to go, and so we were able to use that vehicle to put a couple $100,000 into getting money for food, for warming areas, for helping people get their lights turned back on, and so that was an important lesson for us, and we just need to build on that.
Do you find Mississippians to be generous in that respect, Mike, to give and help their fellow Mississippians?
It's amazing to me. And clearly, by a lot of metrics, we're clearly the poor state in the nation. But just in our area, it's just been incredible, the response. And just it's humbling to see people willing to step up and to want to help people, and just look at our community foundation. The the growth that we've seen over the years has been amazing. And again, what we understand, I think, at Create is, yes, we need to work together as a region and as a state, but ultimately it comes down to what happens in a local community. And so we're not in trying to tell anybody what to do or how to do it, but we want to be a partner and to assist and support them. And I'm telling you, there are people that not just are focused on their county, but they want to help people more broadly. And again, that's a partnership that we're proud of and appreciate.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, and that's been my experience and observation certainly as well. So, Mike, with the cost of living kind of affecting the household pocketbooks, is that having any effect on your income and revenue?
Not really. I mean, it's a significant issue, and you can't ignore that. We hope that'll turn better sooner than later.
Yep.
But one of the things that we've really focused on, getting back to the community level, is an initiative we have called Communities of Excellence, and we have partners in that. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Appalachian Regional Commission, and TVA are all partners. And it's really a process to get to the local community level with community forums to let people express what's on their mind, what their issues are in the community, and then work with them to get a plan together of how can they make their community better, and as best you can get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Because a lot of different groups want to do good things.
Sure.
But common sense would just tell you, hey, if we're all pointed more in the same direction, we'll have better results. And so that's an important thing for us because, all across Mississippi, we've experienced some population loss. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that is certainly about attracting more jobs, but it's also making communities places where people want to live. And there's not an easy, quick solution to that. And so I think it's something we just have to figure out together.
I got you. Got about a minute left.
Yep.
Your governance, you assume you have a board of directors. Is that regionalized or?
Yes. Most of our counties are represented on our board. We have a pretty large board.
Okay.
I think right now we have 29.
Okay.
It can fluctuate a little bit. So for most of our counties, and then the Commission on the Future of Northeast Mississippi, I mentioned, has 55 people, and every county is represented by population from 2 to 5 members. So then I mentioned our community affiliates that usually have 15 or so people. So there's a pretty good network and opportunity for input and connecting with people, and that's very important to us.
Well, that's good. Well, that shows you got a lot of people that care and want to help, want to get involved.
Absolutely.
Mike Cleburne, president of the Create Foundation, has been our guest. Mike, thanks for coming on, and thanks for all the work your organization does. Appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You bet. We're coming right back, folks, at Itawamba Community College. We'll be right back with the Element Well studio here at the Davis Activities Center. Stay with us.
Attention, adoring fans! It's time for
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I got rice cooking in the microwave. Got a 3-day beard I don't plan to shave. And it's a goofy thing, but I just gotta say, hey, I'm a-doing alright. Yeah, I think I'll make me some homemade soup. Feeling pretty good, and that's the truth. It's neither drink.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Itawamba Community College. It's graduation day up here, and we appreciate Dr. Jay Allen, the president of Itawamba Community College, inviting us up to transport temporarily the Element Well studio here to the Davis Activity Center, where I believe there are 2 additional groups of graduates that will be walking this afternoon. One walked this morning, And it's always good to see the smiles on the faces of the students as they receive their degree. Their families are all here, piled into the Davis Activity Centers. They should be supporting their graduate, and on they go. So, now in the segment before we talk to Mike Claiborne, president of the Create Foundation, we were sharing with you that the Supreme Court issued an order yesterday extending its administrative stay blocking enforcement of a lower court ruling. All these courts and blocking each other and stepping on each other gets a little complicated. But this would have restricted access to the abortion pill mifepristone. I have a hard time pronouncing that. Did I say it right, Rhino? Mifepristone.
Yeah.
That's the way it's spelled. Okay. So that basically means the pills can flow into the states that allow such medicines to come into their state. It is done, generally speaking, through telehealth prescriptions is how that works. So you've got a legitimate physician who has the ability to write the prescription, to prescribe the medicine, and then it is shipped to you via mail. The prescription is done via telehealth. It does raise all kinds of questions, does it not, Rhino, about the safety of taking the pills when you're doing a telehealth exam, if you will? Aren't there concerns around that? And haven't there been cases where it's been prescribed, the pregnant to-be mom takes it, and then they experience some sort of medical difficulties, right?
Well, I mean, that's an issue that's going to be – it's a problem to be solved for about 75% of all the medication behind the counter at the pharmacy.
Okay.
Because, I mean, there are drugs that are much more dangerous that get prescribed every single day. There are drugs that don't even belong back there, but they're back there because somebody didn't like who made them or somebody didn't like how it made somebody feel, so now you got to have a prescription.
Well, it's chemicals you're putting in your body. I mean, it's essentially a foreign substance, right, that you can't always bat 1,000 on that, I guess, despite the myriad of testing all those drugs go through.
I guess I just look at it from the point of view of there was one point in time in this very country, in living memory, where you could go to a pharmacy and just sign your name and you would get what was referred to as diet pills, but it was basically 10 milligrams of amphetamines. And they were called Black Beauties. You could just go sign for them and buy them. And
incredible.
In living memory, we've gone from, the government trusts you to be able to handle yourself enough to go to the pharmacy and sign your name and buy amphetamines to, well, there for the longest time here in the Magnolia State, you couldn't buy freaking Sudafed without an ID, without a prescription. Now you still got to have an ID.
Right, but you can get it over the counter. And do you have to be, for Sudafed, Rhino, can a minor purchase that?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either. But until we, I guess, repealed that law, when was that? A couple of years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while now.
Required a prescription. And I will say that, the few times I've ever taken it when I had congestion, it's a pretty effective drug for that purpose, I found. So
much more effective than the alternative that was provided.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pseudoephedrine works a heck of a lot better than phenylephrine.
Okay, interesting.
I don't care if whoever came up with phenylephrine gets mad at me for saying that. That's my opinion. But you ask anybody that's taken both of them, Sudafed clears you up. Phenylephrine is just like, we're here. Yeah, Sudafed,
I mean, you can feel the effects within like hours after you take it. You can feel it kind of drying you up, clearing you up. So it's a pretty good invention, I would say. So with respect to this abortion issue, it may be just a coincidence, but, Marty McCary, the FDA head that was chosen by the president when he was elected, he's no longer there. He has resigned on his own accord. It is thought that he had a riff with the administration, I believe, on his position on flavored vapes. And so essentially he resigned earlier this week. Well, abortion opponents are expressing significant concern about the replacement, at least temporary replacement, the acting head of the FDA, that's Kyle DeMantis. It's been learned that he was once on a legal team that represented Planned Parenthood. So the anti-abortion movement, which is kind of had a tenuous relationship with the president, honestly, is really upset over the choice of Mr. DeMantis as the acting FDA commissioner. So the let's see, who said this? Founder of Live Action. Yeah, I want to make sure I had the attribution correctly. The founder of Live Action wrote on X, Kyle DeMantis previously was listed in court records as counsel for Planned Parenthood of Greater Orlando. He is temporarily filling the vacant position after Marty McCary's resignation. We cannot allow someone who represented Planned Parenthood to oversee rules surrounding the deadly abortion pill, mifepristone, that has killed millions of babies. At Real Donald Trump, we need a strong pro-life nominee to replace him in all caps immediately, she said. Senator Josh Hawley shared her post and wrote, quote, surely this can't be right. Interesting. So we'll see if the president takes any action concerning this temporary appointment, but it got the attention of pro-life advocates and anti-abortion, the anti-abortion movement with respect to this temporary head of the FDA. You heard
that just
Senator
feels a bit stupid, just to
you
be
feel
mean on a Friday. Like, I get it. I'm against abortions too. So somebody was a counsel for Planned Parenthood. They weren't the manager. They weren't the director. They weren't even the secretary. They were counsel. They were a lawyer. Lawyers are lawyers for everybody, pretty much. So they were a lawyer for Planned Parenthood, so they can't be temporary. It's just more of this stupid purity test crap that always tears up the right whenever they're in any kind of power.
You're right. Any sort of connection, any sort of association, I mean, even if you...
It'd be one thing if he had pages on pages of a social media profile calling pro-lifers evil or saying that he was all for abortion. If you had to go digging through court documents to find out he was just a counsel, not lead counsel, not director, not anything, just counsel, just a random lawyer they hired to tell them that they can't do that and they can do this, it feels stupid, like a waste of time and energy.
Well, and I agree with you, and it seems like that the next step for these folks that are expressing their objection would perhaps be to confront this individual and ask him what his positions are, especially with respect to where he does have power, right, as the FDA administrator over the abortion pill. It would make sense to.
He's literally filling
It's temporary. You're correct. So you wouldn't think that in that regard that he could do anything in that role that I guess would, I don't know, aggravate the pro-life folks further. We got a Supreme Court ruling right now, and that's because there's litigation going on. So that case is not totally settled. But it is an issue in that, well, surgical abortion now has kind of given way to a more common method of aborting a fetus, and that's through the pill. And my concern, of course, is we can make laws all day long, just like we have laws against all kind of stuff. But if people want to put that stuff in their body, in this case, if they want to abort their baby, unfortunately, sadly, somebody's going to figure out a way to get that pill to do that. That's a lot more probable than obviously the effort and the process involved in a surgical abortion. That requires a whole lot more of one thing, and it requires an abortion clinic to do that, or someone who would actually perform the abortion. But the pill is just little simpler process. And I think that, again, if people want to do that, it doesn't matter what the laws are. Somebody's going to figure out a way to get it to them and sell it to them if they want to take it, sadly. Coming right back.
From this.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
Now, on to the real part.
Dynamite! On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I had a good life before you came. I had my friends and my freedom. I had my name. Still there was sorrow and emptiness. Till you
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays from Itawamba Community College. It's graduation up here in what I call Appalachia. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but we're the foothills, aren't we, Rhino, up here?
Oh,
in
yeah.
Fulton? Yeah, I think so. The foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. But beautiful setting up here. In fact, from my set right here, I can look to my left and see the Itawamba Community College football field and see the insignia of the school there at the top of the stadium and the uprights and so forth. Really nice setting up here. Appreciate Dr. J. Allen for having us. On the C Spire text line, Bubba in Starkville says, Benny Thompson is a total embarrassment to the great state of Mississippi. His ignorance is exceptional. And he's just a kind of a vapid person, I think is one way to put it. It's just always aggrieved, and I'm not really sure if it's an act, if it's genuine, maybe a little of both. If it's ignorance, I don't really know. But, man, he's full of it. No doubt about it. Is it pandering, placating? Maybe some of all that built in, I guess. The Guardian, which is pretty widely read publication, digital publication, they actually have an article about the whole situation with our congressional districts. Quote, the title of the article, Voting Rights Act ruling is, quote, red meat to Republicans in South, says black lawmaker targeted by the gerrymander. And that black lawmaker they're referring to is none other than Mississippi's Benny Thompson. He, of course, the Magnolia State's only Democrat in the Congress. Both of our U.S. senators, Republicans. 3 of our 4 House members are Republicans. So the conservatives in the state, lawmakers, candidates, elected officials have used this opportunity to target the congressman and I think to some extent boost their political fortunes and pander to their political base. One of those, of course, would be Commissioner Andy Gibson. He is the state's Agriculture and Commerce Commissioner, running for governor, as officially announced that. He actually made a very lengthy Facebook post here in the last couple of days calling for the state to redraw the lines. For a while there, we had State Auditor Shad White, who was, I think, probably first out of the gate to call for the legislature to redraw the congressional lines, was touting the fact that he was the only statewide elected official that was, in fact, imploring the legislature and the governor to act in that regard. And so now we've got the state's agriculture commissioner, candidate for governor, Andy Gibson. I haven't seen anything from Philip Gunn. Maybe I just missed it, who's also a candidate for governor. It seems to me like that the district as drawn actually violates the ruling, because I think it is accurate to say it was drawn on the basis of race to ensure that there would be a certain outcome. And that is something I argue with, take exception to. this notion that only black people can support black people. I just find that ridiculous. I find it racist. We've said that before on the show. And that's the concern of Democrats, should there be any sort of redrawing of the districts. Oh, my gosh, we can't have a white person representing the black folks, which dominate the population of Benny Thompson's district, which primarily consists of the Delta, but really a large number of the voters in Hinds County, or the city of Jackson. I saw a report the other day, Rhino, made me think about it, talking about the amount of population that the city of Jackson has lost over the last decade or two. It's significant. I had no idea it was quite that much. I actually think it was in the Clarion Ledger, which you don't expect to write something so critical of the city of Jackson. But you think that maybe they do a little introspection? You got the same problem in the Delta, losing population. It is no doubt the poorest region of our state. And then you dip down into Hinds County, you got the same thing. Aren't they seeing that, hey, well, maybe we need to do the flip of the people who represent us? They seem to be just hanging on to this idea that, well, I'm the only one that can really represent you because my skin color is the same as yours. And unfortunately, a lot of the voters buy into that. So I would say that's a problem. And I know it's probably thought, and I've had people say this to me, well, a white person from this, that, and the other area couldn't possibly understand what the needs are. And I know I've said this on the show before, are the needs that significantly different from a government perspective? Or have we sort of reframed, remade, re-engineered government, and you've said this before on the show, to be this provider from cradle to grave? And that's the problem. Yeah, you may get somebody that doesn't believe that's the role of government, but that would be the first step into fixing the problems in the area.
Well, that's half of the problem. Half of the issue is half of the debate is arguing in bad faith. Remember, half of this debate are the same people saying we haven't made any progress.
Yeah.
We're still living in 1962.
Yeah,
you
right.
can't acknowledge any progress being made in the last 70 years. It's just as bad or worse. These are the same people saying, hey, we need to keep the same crap that hasn't changed a thing in over 6 decades in place.
I mean, what's the old adage, the definition of insanity? And it's pretty much on full display there, right? Is what it feels like to me. Incredible. Meanwhile, you got Kamala Harris, who looks to be teasing the idea of throwing her hat in the ring, as the saying goes, for president of these United States, the 2028 election cycle. And she had a web conference yesterday, a live stream really is what it was. Win with Black Women podcast. Didn't know there was such a thing. And she says that we need to consider radical positions to remake the country ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, including abolition of the Electoral College and packing the Supreme Court. Now, just so you know, the packing of the Supreme Court is something that could be done through legislation, because that is not specified in the Constitution in terms of the number. However, the Electoral College, a much taller bar, higher bar. And that's because that would require amendment of the Constitution. And that requires, as well, a very high bar, 2/3 of the Congress, both sides, and then 75% of the states. But there's kind of a workaround movement going on in this country right now, and that is this well-funded organization that's pushing states to adopt this policy of awarding their electoral votes to the candidate who wins the popular vote. And some states have already adopted that policy. Where it becomes trouble, but these are states that are honestly going to largely support the Democrat nominee no matter what in a presidential general election. Where it would become a problem are the 3 or 4 states where honestly the presidential election is won or lost, and that's Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin, to some extent North Carolina. If Pennsylvania were to adopt such a policy, that would be a significant change in the way the outcomes occur with respect to electing a president. Because it's Pennsylvania that swept President Trump into office, honestly, in 16. He did win Wisconsin, Michigan, but Pennsylvania was the key state. Arizona, you could also point to that one, but Pennsylvania has more electoral votes. That would be a problem if Pennsylvania ever did that. She said that we need a brainstorm and that there are no bad ideas. We need to talk about.
It requires a brain to brainstorm.
She said, of course, expanding the Supreme Court, and something that we've talked about many times on the show that Democrats would do if they could kill the filibuster, and that's make D.C. and Puerto Rico a state, thus allowing them to have each 2 senators, increasing the number of senators on the Democrat side more than likely in the U.S. Senate, and that would change things significantly. Final segment of Middays from Itawamba Community College is coming up next.
The one bot.
You know what that means.
Middays with Gerard Gibert.
We'll do it live.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
It's finally Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good times roll.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Middays. That's a staple here on Middays on Fridays. The great George Jones there, bumping us into the final segment. You see the story, Rhino, about the drinking water down there in Alabama, in Mobile? Some divers came upon an improvised explosive device that had been placed underwater at a dam.
Yeah, I don't know that it was intentionally placed at the dam, because every single report has been very careful to not say that.
Okay.
And when you kind of aggregate all of the reporting on it, it looks like either some sort of military ordinance that somebody was goofing off with and wasn't supposed to be, and disposed of it in the water, and it wound up at the bottom of the dam, or some redneck decided to make himself a grenade, and you know what? We're going to drive by and throw it off in that water and watch it go boom. And they lit the fuse and threw it and waited and waited and no boom. There could be another way it wound up there, but I was looking adamantly for, all right, are they saying this was placed? Was it intentionally placed? Was it put? Like, what's the wording they're putting in this reporting? And I just couldn't find anything that made it sound like it was intentionally placed there, that it was more like, this is where it wound up. We're glad we found it before something bad happened, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that actually makes more sense. I found it to be a bit incredulous as well, that someone intentionally went underwater and placed a bomb right there by the dam. That seemed just a little far-fetched to me. So,
well, I mean, when you say a headline with IED or grenade and dam, it's like, whoa, it gets your attention. So you do read the article, which is the whole reason you have clickbait headlines like that. But
yeah,
I mean, even I'm not a structural engineer or an explosives expert, but I'm fairly certain it would take more than a grenade-sized IED to take out a dam of that size.
It would seem. May blow a small hole in it, right? Or certainly knock some of the finish off. But, yeah, I don't think it'd take the whole dam down. I tend to agree with you. I got to get to this. I've been meaning to this week, and this was rather intriguing to me. that Harvard officials, it has been determined through some research that the university has ties to slavery. 1,600 people enslaved by the august Harvard University. That, of course, means that they participated in arguably the nation's most ignominious institution, and that being slavery. So we got to do something about that, right? I mean, major action is needed. It's Harvard, it's slavery. Oh, my gosh. They, I think, are probably a bit shocked. But this is something you talk about all the time, that this notion that slavery was confined to the Deep South prior to the Civil War, of course, and that doesn't exist anymore. Well, it doesn't in this country, but it still does in numerous other countries across the ocean.
White Southern Americans did not invent slavery. We're not the only slaveholders. And if you think slavery was bad in America's past, then you're historically illiterate, because that means you know nothing about slavery pre-America, and you know nothing about the crazy acts of slavery that are still ongoing in the Middle East as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a group known as American Ancestors, and the chief research officer, Lindsay Fulton. This is just came out this week. It's something that they've been working on. She says that their research has identified nearly 3,000 university leaders, faculty, staff, and board members from the relevant centuries who potentially could have owned slaves. So far, they have confirmed that at least 259 definitely did. And they're still digging through. This is how they're doing their research, because the documents of the day through the ages include wills, church documents, municipal records, and Harvard's own archives. Well, what's the appropriate action here, Rhino, for this discovery? Because we all know how the left loves to lecture us, and my alma mater, Ole Miss, of course, has been a subject of that, a focal point of that forever, nationally, always pointed to. Well, probably by the people at Harvard, right, pointed to us. So maybe they need to do a little introspection in their own backyard here. I found this fascinating.
Yeah, they need to disinvest in themselves and deliver it in the form of reparations to those they've harmed, obviously.
There you go. There you go. They got a $50 billion endowment. Cough some of it up, right? Well, we are out of here today. We have enjoyed being on the campus of Itawamba Community College. Congratulations to all the graduates at ICC and across our state this weekend. We're back with you on Monday. Stay safe, and God bless.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.